Imagine this, a Texas sheriff, tough as nails, a woman who spent years locking up bad guys, walks into her own house one night and finds something so awful it flips her whole world upside down. Her husband, shot 10 times, blood everywhere, dead on the floor, and she's the one who did it. Why? It's all tied to their 15-year-old daughter. What could make a mother, a law officer, unload her gun into the man she married? This isn't some movie plot. This is real, raw, and messed up. You're watching Crime Mysteries Uncovered, and I'm about to take you through every twist of this Texas nightmare. Stick around, hit subscribe, ring that bell, because we're going deep into a story that's got betrayal, rage, and a question nobody can fully answer. Was it justice or just murder? Hey, mystery lovers. Welcome back to Crime Mysteries Uncovered, where we dig into the darkest corners of true crime, the stuff that keeps you up at night wondering what really happened. I'm your guide through these wild stories, and if you're new here, this is the place for you if you're obsessed with unsolved cases, shocking betrayals, and the kind of mysteries that make you question everything. We've covered everything from vanishing hitchhikers to serial killers hiding in plain sight, and today's no different. It's a heavy one. So if you're into that, smash that subscribe button, join our crew, and let's get into it. Picture a small Texas town, the kind where the biggest drama is usually a cow wandering onto the highway. Now imagine a sheriff, a woman named Karen Holt, respected, tough, the kind of person you'd call if your house got broken into. She's married to Tom Holt, a mechanic, quiet guy, maybe a little rough around the edges but nothing too crazy, or so people thought. They've got a daughter, Emily, 15 years old, a kid who loves animals, rides horses, dreams of getting out of this little nowhere town someday. On the surface, they're the perfect family, sheriff mom, blue-collar dad, sweet teenage girl. But surfaces lie, don't they? Today we're tearing that surface apart, because what happened in that house is the kind of thing that shatters a town, a family, and leaves you wondering where the line is between right and wrong. Karen Holt shot her husband 10 times, and it all comes back to Emily. What went down? Let's start at the beginning. To get this, you've got to know Oakwood, Texas, or at least that's what we're calling it, a little stand-in for one of those dusty towns where everybody knows everybody. It's the kind of place where the sheriff isn't just a cop, she's a friend, a neighbor, someone you wave to at the gas station. Karen Holt fit that role perfectly. She'd been on the force for 15 years, worked her way up from deputy to sheriff, and people loved her for it. She was tough, had to be, being a woman in a job like that in rural Texas, but fair. Stories float around about her pulling over speeders with a stern lecture instead of a ticket, or helping some old lady fix a busted porch step on her day off. She was a rock, the kind of person Oakwood leaned on. Tom, her husband, was different. He ran a small garage, fixed up trucks and tractors, kept to himself mostly. People said he was handy, reliable, but there were whispers, little things, like how he'd get moody after a few drinks, how he'd snap at folks if they pushed him too far. Nothing major, nothing anyone thought twice about. And Emily? She was the light of their lives, or seemed to be. 15, sophomore in high school, the quiet type, good grades, loved riding horses out on the back roads, always had her nose in a book or sketching something in a notebook. Teachers liked her, said she was polite, maybe a little shy, but sharp. The Holts looked solid from the outside, a sheriff keeping the peace, a husband keeping the lights on, a daughter growing up right. But cracks were forming, ones nobody saw until it was too late. Let's zoom in on the months before it all went down. Neighbors started noticing things, small stuff, but it adds up. Tom's truck parked in the driveway longer than usual, like he wasn't working as much. Karen pulling double shifts, coming home late, looking worn out. Emily dropping out of the school art club, skipping her writing lessons, getting quieter than ever. One teacher mentioned she'd stopped turning in homework, just sat there staring out the window like she was somewhere else. People chalked it up to normal teenage stuff, hormones, growing pains, whatever. But there was more. A guy down the street said he heard Tom yelling one night, loud enough to wake him up, something about keeping your mouth shut. Nobody called the cops, ironic, right, with the sheriff right there? Karen kept it all locked down, though. She had to. She was the law in Oakwood, couldn't let anyone see her family falling apart. Maybe she didn't even see it herself, not fully, not until that night, March 15, 2024. Picture this, Karen's been on duty all day, dealing with some kid spray painting the high school gym. It's mundane, annoying, but it's her job. She's exhausted, probably just wants to kick off her boots and crash. She pulls into the driveway around 8 p.m., expecting Tom to be tinkering with an engine in the garage, Emily may be watching TV or texting her friends. Instead, she walks in and, bam, everything changes. What did she see? We don't have the full police report, those details are still trickling out, but neighbors heard it go down. First shouting, Karen's voice, sharp, furious, then Tom's, defensive, panicked. Then gunfire, 10 shots, one after another, loud enough to rattle windows half a block away. What could have happened in that house to make a sheriff, a trained officer, empty her clip into her own husband? Here's where it gets dark. Word from early investigation leaks says Karen caught Tom with Emily, their 15-year-old daughter, in a way no parent should ever have to see. Something awful, something unforgivable. That's the spark. But was it the whole fire? Let's dig in. Cops showed up fast, Oakwood small, response times quick when gunfire's involved. Deputies roll in, lights flashing, and find a scene straight out of a horror flick. Tom Holtz on the living room floor, blood pooling under him, 10 bullet holes punched through his chest, arms, head. Karen standing there, her Glock 22, standard sheriff's sidearm, still in her hand, smoke curling from the barrel. She's not screaming, not crying, just staring, like she's not even there anymore. And Emily? She's in the corner, knees pulled up, sobbing so hard she can't breathe, rocking back and forth. These deputies, they're Karen's crew, people she's trained, laughed with, trusted, and now they've got to disarm her. One of them, a guy named Deputy Ruiz, later said it was the hardest thing he'd ever done, prying that gun from her fingers while she muttered, "He hurt her. He hurt my baby." No fight, no excuses, just that. Tom's dead on the spot, no saving him with that many rounds. Emily gets whisked off to the hospital, not for physical injuries, at least not ones they'd say, but for her head, her heart, whatever she saw or felt that night. Karen's in cuffs, hauled to the county jail, her badge gone, her life flipped upside down in minutes. Think about that, sheriff 1 second, suspect the next. How does that even happen? Evidence starts piling up quick. Ballistics match the bullets to Karen's Glock. No surprise there, she didn't try to hide it. Tom's autopsy is brutal reading. 10 shots, most to the torso, a couple stray ones to his arms, one clean through his skull. Overkill, right? But here's the weird part, no defensive wounds. No scratches, no bruises, nothing to show he fought back. Was he too stunned? Too drunk? Neighbors said he'd been hitting the bottle hard lately, maybe he was passed out when she started shooting, or maybe Karen was so fast, so precise, he didn't have time to react. She's trained for that, after all, 15 years on the force, she knows how to handle a gun. Then there's the house itself. Living room's a mess, not from a struggle, just from the shooting. Coffee table's got blood splattered on it, couch cushions soaked red, shell casings scattered like confetti. But upstairs? Emily's room is a different story. Clothes tossed everywhere, dresser drawers yanked open, a diary half burned in a trash can like someone tried to torch it and gave up. What was in there? What didn't they want found? Hospital notes on Emily are locked tight, she's a minor, so privacy laws kick in. But whispers from staff say she had bruises, old ones, not from that night. Emotional trauma, for sure, she wouldn't talk, just kept crying, saying, he wouldn't stop. Stop what? That's the gut punch. Was Tom hurting her, abusing her, maybe worse, and Karen walked in on it? Or was something else going on, something we're missing? You tell me, what do you think happened in that room? Drop it in the comments, because this is where the story starts splitting people apart. Investigation ramps up, and Oakwood's buzzing. Karen's locked up, no bail yet, facing murder 1, first degree, premeditated, the big one. Her defense doesn't even try to say she didn't do it, too much proof. Instead, they go for the heart. She snapped, lost it when she saw her daughter in danger. Prosecutors aren't buying it, 10 shots, they say, that's not a snap, that's a decision. They've got her training, her steady aim, her cool head under pressure, all that sheriff stuff, turned against her. Detectives tear the house apart looking for more. No signs of a fight downstairs, just the aftermath, blood, bullets, chaos. Upstairs, though, they find more weirdness. Emily's bed's unmade, sheets tangled like she hadn't slept right in days. There's a lock on her door, inside, not out, like she was barring someone from coming in. That burned diary? Cops salvage a few pages, but it's mostly ash, something about he keeps coming back scribbled in shaky handwriting. Tom's stuff gets searched too, his garage, his truck. They find empty beer cans, a couple old hunting knives, nothing huge, but enough to paint a picture of a guy sliding downhill. Emily's interviewed, but it's a closed session, she's too fragile, too young for the public eye. Leaks say she backed Karen's story, sort of, said Tom was doing something bad that night, wouldn't say more. Bad how? Physical? Worse? It's enough to make your skin crawl. Town's a mess over this. Karen's deputies split down the middle. Half say she's a mom who did what she had to, half say she's a disgrace, a killer who threw away the badge. Folks who knew Tom swear he was rough but not that rough. Others say they saw it coming, that he'd been off for months. Emily's gone, sent to live with an aunt or something, out of sight, out of reach. Rumors fly, he was abusive, he was a drunk, he'd been creeping around Emily for a while. One lady swears she saw him grab Emily's arm too hard at a barbecue last summer, but nobody did anything. Small towns, right? They protect their own, even when they shouldn't. Karen's sitting in a cell, and the questions keep piling up. Did she know something was wrong before that night? Was this brewing for weeks, months? Or did she really just walk in blind and lose it? Think about it, a mom, a sheriff, seeing her 15-year-old daughter hurt by the man she loved. What's your breaking point? I want to hear it, comments below, let's unpack this together. Trial hits January 2025, and it's a circus. Courthouse is swamped, locals, reporters, even some true crime nuts like us showing up to watch. Karen's in orange, no badge, no gun, just a woman on trial for her life. She takes the stand, voice flat, eyes empty, and tells it straight. She came home, saw Tom with Emily, in a way no father should be, and blacked out. Gun went off, 10 times, and she doesn't know how it stopped. Her lawyer hammers the emotional angle, brings in shrinks, trauma experts, says she was a mom first, sheriff second, and any parent would have done the same. They play up Emily's state, scared, broken, a kid caught in hell. Prosecutors push back hard, 10 shots isn't a blackout, it's a choice. They drag out her record, sharpshooter calls, calm under fire, years of keeping her cool, and say she knew exactly what she was doing. Emily testifies, but it's private, cameras off, doors locked. Word slips out she cried through it, said Tom wouldn't leave her alone, hinted at something dark, but clammed up when pressed. Jury's out 3 days, and the verdict? Voluntary manslaughter, not murder. 8 years, maybe 5 with parole. Not premeditated, but not innocent either. A middle ground. Karen's hauled off, Emily's hidden away, and Oakwood's left arguing over it, hero or villain. Justice or revenge. You decide, hit the comments, tell me where you land. Let's chew on this some more. What if Karen planned it? Maybe she'd been watching Tom, piecing it together, late nights, Emily's silence, the tension in the air. Maybe she went home that night ready to catch him, gun already in hand. Or maybe it's simpler, she walked in, saw red, and let instinct take over. 10 shots, though, that's a lot of instinct. What about Tom? Was he a monster hiding in plain sight, or a guy who made one awful mistake? And Emily, poor kid, 15 years old, stuck in the middle of this nightmare. How do you come back from that? Therapy, time, a new life somewhere else. Will it ever be enough? Step back farther. What's this say about us? About families, trust, the masks people wear? Karen was the law, Tom was her partner, Emily was their future, and it all crashed down. I keep circling back to that moment. Door opens, Karen sees it, and everything shifts. Could she have stopped at one shot? Called for backup? Walked away? Or was 10 the only way she could breathe again? This case, it's not clean, not tidy. It's ugly, human, real. Small towns like Oakwood bury stuff like this until they can't, and when it blows, it takes everything with it. What's your take? Hero mom, broken cop, or something else? Let's wrestle with it. Comments are open, I'm reading. Here's where we wrap it. This Texas sheriff story, it stuck with me, and I hope it's got you thinking too. If it hit you hard, smash that like button, it keeps us going. Subscribe, hit the bell, because we've got more mysteries coming your way. If you're hooked, check our last video on, insert related video title, it's another wild ride. Big thanks to you, our community, your Why Crime Mysteries Uncovered keeps digging. Tell me down below, what case should we crack next? Signing off, stay curious, stay safe, see you in the next one.